On Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, Drew Barrymore opened up in a private conversation that offered a deeply human insight into Savannah Guthrie's response to her mother Nancy's disappearance. This wasn't a public interview, a social media post, or a staged segment. It was an intimate call with 5 close friends who have witnessed both women navigate the pressures of public life. Drew, turning 51 next week, shared her reflections in real time, describing the invisible dynamics that shaped Savannah's every word and movement since the crisis began. She highlighted the extraordinary bond between Savannah and Nancy, one built on love but intertwined with high expectations. Drew's words explained why Savannah, while appearing composed and measured, is internally navigating a storm of fear, responsibility, and the lifelong need to prove herself. It wasn't sensationalism. It was empathy rooted in understanding decades of a mother-daughter relationship. Love woven with expectation. Drew explained that Nancy Guthrie's parenting was deeply loving, but it came with unyielding expectations. After losing her husband early, Nancy structured life with rules, guidance, and the conviction that strength must always be demonstrated. Savannah, as the eldest, absorbed this fully. Drew described it as a form of forging. Nancy's love was unconditional in feeling, but conditional in performance. To receive full approval, Savannah had to demonstrate resilience, composure, and the ability to act under pressure. Drew emphasized that this pattern is precisely what underlies Savannah's public behavior during the current crisis. Each measured statement, each deliberate pause, each video released is a reflection of this lifetime of training. It is both a survival mechanism and a deeply ingrained form of expressing love through achievement and control. Resilience in the face of unimaginable stress. Drew detailed how this dynamic manifests in the current situation. Since Nancy's disappearance, Savannah has not reacted in ways most would expect. She has neither panicked publicly nor issued emotional outbursts. Instead, she has chosen her words carefully, structured her messages, and conveyed urgency with precision. This deliberate approach reflects the lessons Nancy imparted over decades. Manage information, speak strategically, and maintain composure under pressure. Drew described the impact of watching Savannah release the first video plea days after the disappearance. Savannah began by thanking those helping, described her mother's qualities, addressed the ransom notes calmly, and then made the plea. The sequence, Drew explained, was intentional, a demonstration of control and strength, honoring the framework her mother instilled. The hidden burden. While Savannah's behavior demonstrates extraordinary composure, Drew stressed that it comes at a personal cost. The need to always perform strength keeps her from fully expressing grief, fear, and vulnerability. Drew recounted personal experiences with Savannah over the years. During tough weeks on projects or while managing personal responsibilities, Savannah often deferred to her mother's guidance, choosing action over emotional display. She described how Savannah's mother taught her to respond to challenges strategically rather than react emotionally, creating a lifelong habit of internalizing difficulty. Drew highlighted that this internal discipline, while admirable, is also isolating, as Savannah cannot allow herself to openly release the emotional strain she carries even during a personal crisis. Performance as proof of love. Drew emphasized that Nancy's love was communicated through Savannah's ability to rise to challenges. From early career milestones to daily personal trials, love was intertwined with achievement and resilience. Drew illustrated this with a story of Savannah's first major network opportunity. Instead of comfort or encouragement, Nancy focused on preparedness and execution, instilling the principle that success earns affirmation. This pattern of conditional approval continued throughout Savannah's life, shaping her responses in the public eye and reinforcing the internal drive to maintain composure. Drew described how this dynamic now defines Savannah's reaction to her mother's disappearance. Her calm, structured messaging is not detachment, but a disciplined effort to meet the standards she has internalized since childhood. Balancing public and private strength. Drew reflected on how Savannah has consistently balanced the demands of public expectation with private emotion. The first video plea, released days after the disappearance, exemplifies this balance. Gratitude first, acknowledgement of her mother's character second, then a factual statement about the ransom situation, and finally, the plea itself. Drew highlighted the deliberateness of this structure, noting that each element reinforces strength while controlling emotional exposure. The second video, stating, "We will pay," was delivered with the same precision. Drew explained that Savannah's tone, calm and deliberate, mirrors lessons taught by Nancy. Never let vulnerability overshadow action. Never appear weak, and always demonstrate resilience. This training allows Savannah to act effectively even amid extreme personal distress. The cost of control Drew reminded the group that Savannah's composed exterior masks deep internal pressure. Every word, every pause, every decision is filtered through decades of habit. Lessons that equate love with strength. Drew noted that this discipline enables Savannah to navigate the crisis strategically, but it also prevents her from expressing fear or grief freely. The vanishing of her mother, coupled with signs of forced entry and medical concerns, presents a challenge that cannot be solved entirely by planning or composure. Yet Savannah persists, balancing strategy with the raw human need to act, demonstrating resilience while containing personal anguish. Drew's reflections illuminated the emotional stakes hidden behind each measured gesture and carefully constructed video. Parenting as Healing, Drew observed that Savannah's approach to her own children reflects an intentional correction of her upbringing. Unlike the conditional dynamic she experienced, she allows her daughters emotional freedom and permission to fail without fear of withdrawal of love. Drew emphasized that Savannah's parenting shows conscious effort to provide what she did not receive, creating a safe space for her children to experience vulnerability without judgment. However, while this corrective behavior exists, Savannah's own conditioning remains active. Drew stressed that in the context of her mother's disappearance, Savannah's need to prove herself as the strong, capable daughter remains paramount, even as she models compassion and freedom for her children. The human reality behind public composure. Throughout the conversation, Drew insisted that Savannah's public behavior should be seen not as detachment, but as disciplined humanity. Her measured delivery, delayed public statements, and structured communications are evidence of an internalized system of resilience. Drew noted that this system allows Savannah to navigate danger and uncertainty, but it also keeps her isolated and emotionally constrained. Understanding this context transforms the perception of her responses. The calm exterior is not absence of feeling, but mastery of fear and strategy. Drew encouraged those who follow the story to see the person behind the anchor, the daughter behind the composed public image, and recognize the extraordinary strength required to act under such pressure. Carrying the weight of love. Drew concluded with a reflection on the psychological and emotional weight Savannah carries. Her mother's love, tied to achievement and resilience, created a lifelong framework in which failure or visible vulnerability could feel like emotional risk. Now, faced with her mother's disappearance, Savannah applies this framework with remarkable discipline. Every calculated word, every deliberate statement, every measured plea is an effort to align with the lessons instilled by Nancy. Drew emphasized that while this behavior is impressive, it also exacts a toll. Savannah cannot fully release fear, grief, or uncertainty. The vanishing, Drew explained, is not just a crisis to solve. It is a test of a lifelong lesson about strength, love, and duty. The call for compassion. Drew's reflections serve as a reminder that Savannah's public composure does not negate her humanity. She is navigating immense stress while carrying the weight of decades of expectation. Drew urged that recognition of this dynamic allows empathy and understanding for her choices. Savannah's measured actions, her structured pleas, and her calm demeanor are not detachment. They are evidence of resilience shaped over a lifetime. Drew concluded by emphasizing that if Nancy returns safely, Savannah will need not only reunion, but reassurance that she is loved unconditionally. This moment highlights the power of understanding, empathy, and the human complexities behind public resilience. Seeing Savannah fully. Ultimately, Drew Barrymore's insights illuminate why Savannah Guthrie responds as she does during her mother's disappearance. Her strength is both her armor and her burden, enabling her to act strategically under extreme stress while constraining her ability to express vulnerability. Drew encouraged friends and observers to re-watch her statements with this context in mind. Every measured word, every controlled pause, every precise plea is part of a complex, lifelong pattern of love and expectation. Recognizing this allows a deeper understanding of her courage, resilience, and the hidden struggles behind her public image. Drew's reflections remind us that true empathy requires seeing the full human story behind the surface.